Baking company is known for those delicious artisan crafted breads and pastries. The way bread is crafted there is seen as an art and science by the owner. This morning, Ashley Kirkland is going to find out a little bit more about the science behind their baking. Good morning, Ashley.
Good morning, Vicki. Now, the owner of the Marquette Baking Company, a one-time engineer, began his obsession and love of baking bread when he received a culture of sourdough over 20 years ago. And ever since then, he's found ways to craft all kinds of breads in different flavors, shapes, and colors, and do it in a way that's natural. Now, we're here at the Marquette Baking Company. They just finished up their busy holiday season this Christmas, and they're getting ready for the new year. They're getting ready for Easter. They're back here in the kitchen, and they're going to show us how they do just what they do. And I know, Vicki, you were interested in how they get the crust just right for the bread, you know, for all of us that try to make our own breads at home. He's going to show us how to do that this morning. So we'll be back with that exciting stuff going on down here at the Marquette Baking Company. I'll take it back to you for now. Ashley Kirkland reporting.
Just right. We're going to get some expert help today. Ashley Kirkland is at the Marquette Baking Company to ask questions so that we can get our baking done right. Ashley?
Well, Vicki, there's so much to learn when it comes to baking. It really is an art and a science, and I'm here with the owner of the Marquette Baking Company, Peter Claybaker. That's his real last name. How ironic is that? Peter, thanks so much for being here this morning. Now, you were once an engineer, but you say the two are similar. How so?
Well, they're both manufacturing processes, really. When I was doing engineering, I was doing mostly manufacturing and supportive manufacturing, designing manufacturing equipment, and so everything was about manufacturing. And it's all about doing things quickly and efficiently and doing it well. And it pretty much comes down to the same thing when you're running a bakery. You have to make product, you have to do it efficiently, and you have to do it very well. And so it all ties together, it's the same mentality.
Yeah. Now, for the past 30 minutes, I've been watching you guys, you and Jacob here. You've been going through an assembly of breads, and you fold them. There's a technique to how you do it. Talk to us about what you're making right here.
What we're making right now is our dark rye sandwich bread. And so what Jacob is doing is we're starting out with large, big pieces of dough that came out of the mixer earlier today. He's cutting them into individual portion sizes, which are for depending on what kind of thing we're doing with it. We're dividing them into separate small pieces to make the individual loaves of bread. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm doing is I'm doing what they call a pre-shape. Mm-hmm. And so he cuts the dough. There's a lot of ragged edges. There's sometimes little pieces of dough that to make it just the right amount of weight. And so I'm taking those and pulling those all together and making a nice, neat little ball of dough that we use later to form the individual loaves of bread.
Okay. And you even have a technique to how you're folding it. Why does that make a difference, how you roll it and fold it and beat the dough?
Well, the whole goal is every time you touch the dough is to stretch out the gluten fibers in the bread and to make them longer and longer, and to also kind of pull everything together into one nice neat ball. So any kind of cut edges or anything ragged you want to have pulled into the middle of the dough so that when you make your final loaf, it's nice and even, smooth fibers, gluten fibers throughout the bread.
Now, you mentioned gluten. Let's talk about gluten here for a second, because I know with the new year, a lot of people kind of want to give up bread. It's kind of gotten a bad rap, but you say it's not all bad. Why is that?
Well, I mean, in truth, there's a lot of questions about what exactly is going on with gluten and gluten allergies and gluten intolerance. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's not as simple as that gluten is a bad thing and everybody should avoid it. But there's a lot of theories about other parts of our diet and its effect on what we eat and what your body reacts to. It also has to do with kind of the processes involved. One issue that I've seen is that there's been several studies that show that naturally fermented breads, otherwise known as sourdoughs, there have been studies that show that people that have tested for celiac disease and actually have the celiac disease diagnosed have been able to successfully eat highly fermented breads like sourdoughs. And I'm not saying it necessarily will work for everyone, but there's certainly things like that in the process. Because in the fermentation process, what's happening is that the yeast and the bacteria that are in the bread are actually breaking down some of the gluten fibers and softening them so that they sometimes wouldn't have the effect on people that they do otherwise.
Well, I've got you on a roll there, but we are going to talk about how you roll the dough. And also, Vicki, he's got a trick for making that crust very crusty, as you would say. So we'll be back with that. I'm going to be rolling some more dough and showing you everything that they make here. It really is a science. It's very interesting. It's like ratatouille back here. I'll take it back to you for now. Ashley Kirkland reporting live in Marquette, TV6 News.
All right, thank you very much, Ashley. This morning to tell us more. Good morning, Ashley.
Well, Vicki, I've been trying to bake for the past year, so I'm glad that I'm here to really learn something because it hasn't turned out so well for me. But I'm back here with Peter Claybaker, owner at the Marquette Baking Company in Marquette. Now, Peter, we've got the pumpernickel. You're going to show me how to roll the dough.
I am. So here we go. Okay. So what you're going to do is you take your thing that we pre-shaped before is around. You want to stretch it out into sort of a rectangle. Fold it over more or less like a letter. Tap it a little bit to hold it, turn it around, fold the other lip over, tap it again. And then here comes the tricky part. You actually have to kind of take your thumb and you want to fold over your thumb and then seal it down on this end over here. End up with a nice rectangular loaf. A nice seal on the end, a little final tweaking, and it's ready.
Okay, let me try that.
So yeah, you need to stretch that out.
Like that?
You can do. Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
You want it to be a little longer, less wide. There you go. That's it. Okay. Now you're trying to fold it up like a letter. That works. That works. Okay. Now try to. Now you're going to try to get your thumb in here and fold over. Usually, if you're right-handed, usually people use your left thumb. Okay, you're doing it that way. Good. No, that's perfectly acceptable. That's your. Wow, that's great. Awesome, really good job. Okay, you just go here, the final tweak, you gotta close this up on the end here. And you made a really, really nice loaf of bread.
Yay,
So,
nice.
goes over here.